Great, thank you so much. So good morning, everyone. My name is Yuval Mandelbaum. I'm the CEO of DiskCure Medical. I'm going to speak about back pain, so I hope all of you made it to the yoga session this morning. And if not, I'm sure that after this conversation, you will be tomorrow. So we all know back pain. It's the #1 cause of disability in the world. It's the #2 reason people visit their physician. It's the 3rd most burdensome condition on US economy today. And the leading cause of back pain is a condition that's associated with 35 to 40% of all cases called degenerative disc disease. Now, a degenerative disc is very similar to a flat tire that lost its air, and none of the treatments today on the market treat that tire. They all treat the symptoms around. So that's kind of like trying to make the car go despite having a flat tire. And when we look at the literature, we continuously see that these treatments are just not providing enough benefit for these patients. And that's true if we're talking about the non-invasive treatments like opioids or steroids for the very early stages, or if we're talking about the highly invasive treatments like fusion or spinal cord stimulation for the very late stage treatments. And this is really the reason we came into this, because we don't believe in masking the symptom. We believe in treating the problem. The problem here is in the disc. So we've developed a minimally invasive device that acts kind of like a pump for the tire. Just rather than pumping in air, we continuously pump in and draw in fluid and nutrients and oxygen, reviving the disc and reversing the degenerative process. And due to our minimally invasive nature, we can also come in a lot earlier, and we don't burn bridges for any other treatment later on. Now, this pumping function also exists in the healthy disc. In the healthy disc, there is no blood supply that comes into the disc. Rather, there are cells that produce a protein that is negatively charged, and this creates an electric potential differential between the inside of the disc and the environment, which allows it to induce an electroosmotic pump that draws fluid along with nutrients and oxygen into the disc. And this is what gives the disc its volume and gives the cells their nourishment. Now, as a person ages, due to degenerative changes, this pumping function starts to fail, and then we get mechanical pain as the disc volume is reduced. We have less stability to the spine, we have less suspension, we can have compression of the spinal cord. Then, perhaps more importantly, from the pain aspect, there's the biochemical aspect, where we have, due to the fact that there's less oxygen coming into the disc, these cells are now in an anaerobic environment and start to produce lactic acid, creating burn. There's less inflow and outflow of fluids, so we have an accumulation of metabolites inside of the disc and cytokines creating toxicity and inflammation. This is probably the primary reason of pain for these patients. And ultimately, because of the lack of the pumping function, we see a vicious cycle until the disc completely degenerates and collapses. So we understood that the problem here is in the pump, and we've developed a proprietary tiny electrode that we inject directly into the center of the disc under local anesthesia. And this electrode recharges the disc with the natural negative charge. And this resumes that natural potential differential, electric potential differential between the inside and the outside of the disc. And it reinstates that pumping function, allowing us to draw in fluid and along with that nutrients and oxygen. And this allows us to relieve the mechanical pain because we reinflate the disc. It allows us to relieve the biochemical pain because now the disc is a more oxygen-rich environment, so cells produce less lactic acid. We promote the outflow of metabolites and toxins out of the disc, and we show that in our preclinical work that this reduces inflammation and pain inside of the disc. And we also show that we promote the conditions of the cell population inside of the disc, and we even regenerate the tissue of the disc. And ultimately, because we restore that pumping function, we really break the vicious cycle. Now, the system itself is extremely simple. We used pre-existing medically approved components. We have the electrode that's injected into the center of the disc in a procedure similar to discography. Very simply, it's injected in. Then we connect it to a standard power source that's implanted in the buttock or in the abdomen, and it's controlled from the outside using a physician programmer. We've done a multitude of studies all around the world showing our proof of concept and reason to believe, as well as safety studies. I'll quickly go over just a few of them. So we've recently done a bioreactor study with the CDMI where we showed that treated discs had both improved in their fluid volume and have also improved in keeping the form and healthy boundaries of the disc. We've even seen here that we regenerate the tissue of the annulus, the surrounding of the disc, fixing fissures and holes. We've later on also seen that in gene expression tests, we promote a downregulation, a statistically significant downregulation of pain, inflammation, and degradation biomarkers, and we see an upregulation of anti-inflammatory and regeneration biomarkers. And this is crucial because this really correlates very highly with pain in patients. We've also seen similar results in long-term in vivo trials in pigs, where we stimulated discs. In the stimulated discs, for a period of 3 months, we saw that they increased their water content. And in non-stimulated discs, we've seen complete degeneration, collapse of the discs. We have very positive feedback from the FDA from 2 months ago. The FDA sees us as a de novo pathway rather than a PMA based on our safety profile. The agency sees us as appropriate for a breakthrough designation, and they've approved our clinical pilot study design of 5 to 15 patients with 6 months follow-up. We have a very strong team in place based in Boston and in Israel. Our founder, Yossi Gross, has founded about 30 medical device companies, exited a handful of them. The last of those was Valtech, that was acquired by Edwards for about $1 billion. Dr. Hassan Sarkhan, our chairman, is originally from J&J. J&J is a seed investor in DiskCure, and Hassan was actually in charge of this investment on behalf of J&J. And about a year ago, after just over 20 years at DePuy and J&J Spine, he left the company and joined us as chairman. We have a very strong medical advisory board in place. Several of our physicians are also going to participate in the upcoming round. We have very strong core IP, both around the apparatus and around the method, protecting us from any other competitor that would try to do any similar function via a bioelectronic device to draw in fluid into the disc or nutrients. And currently we're initiating a Series A fundraising of $8 million to complete the development of the human-grade system, to complete the feasibility trial, and buy us some runway to complete an additional funding round ahead of the pivotal trial for FDA approval. We have buy-in from our existing investors. We have buy-in from our advisory board. We have a commitment from an additional strategic that would like to invest. And we also see here that it's a very active field with a lot of potential buyers. And in general, I have to say that we're just super excited about this. And we have a lot of passion when we look at this technology because we really believe that this could help countless people suffering from debilitating pain. And I'd like to thank you for your attention. I'll be in the breakout room. I'll be here for the next 3 days. If anyone has additional interest, I'd be happy to free up some time and meet with you. Thank you so much.